what sometimes irks me is when you get like, I mean, it's great because it's visibility. It's a good undercard.
Yeah.
Those guys get that attention, but then it's almost like the first fight on is Billum Smith
Yeah.
against Glanton.
Yeah.
It's a really good fight,
Yeah.
but it's the first fight on. It feels a shame in his last fight in November that Billum Smith lost his world title. In his first fight back, which is a genuinely good fight, we have them at Ring. We have them both ranked in the top 10, and it's going to be the first fight of the night. So it's good that he gets the opportunity to fight on. Then I'm sure you get a good person, everything, both fighters. But so I like the fact that it brings the casuals to see some of the ones they perhaps wouldn't see if they see the undercard. I like that. But then I feel a bit sorry for some of those guys who are on the undercard. It feels like they should be further up the card. They should be. I mean, I give you an example. I remember when it was what's his name? Was it Tommy Paul and Tommy Fury and Jake Paul?
Yeah.
When they fought in Saudi on the undercard, it was Badu Jack against Makabu. That was, and I watched it to that point, and I switched it off and went to bed. I didn't see them because I just wasn't interested in it.
I mean, to be fair though, I watched that fight and it was competitive. That was the only time, I got to be honest, that I had any inkling of respect for Jake Paul in the ring, because everything else up until then has been nonsense. But at least he was fighting someone his own size, age, with a little bit of boxing.
But at least with this one, I mean, I know them both as boxers in that instance.
Okay.
The Jake Paul thing, I was kind of skewed. He's doing boxing, but really, I mean, I remember once a friend of mine said to me, if you write anything on him, it'll get more views than anything you've ever written. And I was like, okay. So I set it up and I did an interview with him, and he was really good.
Yeah.
We sat there. There was no, like he wanted, you got 10 minutes. There was nothing. It was just like talking freely and everything. And I could understand. He's got a lot of, he's very charismatic. He's very, actually, if you were going to spend a bit of time with him, you'd have a good time. But from a boxing standpoint, it's like, but I mean, he's going to fight. We're going away from the Eubank Benn fight, but he's going to fight Julio Cesar Chavez's son in his next fight.
Yeah.
So there's obviously, he's doing what they've done here. He's fighting someone who's going to be able to, try to legitimize on the fact of who his father was and everything.
How do you see that going?
Well, I mean, it should be set up for Paul. He's a younger. I mean, Chavez Jr.'s looked shot for years. In the Canelo fight against Canelo, admittedly, but that was several years ago. Better part of 10, I think. So I think Chavez has only not long got out of rehab. He's probably going to be training in his kitchen, and he'll turn up and get his
bring him around.
But that literally was what he did for one of the fights.
But I don't mind Jake Paul in a way that he's made his name now.
Yeah.
But why doesn't he start fighting?
Yeah.
Active fighters now. You could even, if he gets to the point and they say, "Oh, you've got a ranking now," start fighting. But it just feels like he's still hiding. He's cherry picking washed out people.
100% he is. But I thought when he fought Tommy Fury, I thought that was him sort of answering.
Yeah,
this is number one. But the thing is, it didn't work out for him.
Yeah.
So as soon as he lost that, it's like, well, where can he go from there? We just found out his level, and it's not very high.
Well, we kind of knew his level from watching him, but we've actually seen him actually lose.
Yeah,
now. It's different from seeing.
certain.
Yeah.
And at that point, he's got to think, well, I've got two choices here. I either pack this in now because I'm clearly not up to that level.
But he does enjoy it. There's a thing about him, like he's got his own company, Most Valuable Promotions, and they really,
Tyson.
yeah,
that was ridiculous.
But how many bums on seats? How much money did it make? The fact that like, how many people we look at it and we're like, I didn't see the fight. I mean, it blows my mind. There was an actual genuine world title fight that was on the undercard.
Just because there wasn't one.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I watched the Tyson fight. I watched them all. But I watched that, and a lot of people are saying that kind of Tyson was pulling his punches and things. I don't know. I think he was scared of overstretching a few times and thought if I overcommit here,
isn't it what you get when you fight a 60-year-old man?
Exactly. And people, armchair experts were looking back at the video saying, look here, if you slow it down, you can see that he doesn't. He had the opportunity to land there, and he pulled back a bit. Yeah, because he didn't want to overcommit and miss.
But a lot of people, is why they can do it. They don't really know what they're watching in that regard. If you look at McGregor, when we were talking, we did the McGregor Mayweather. I can remember being in a supermarket a couple of days before the fight, and it showed how big it was because there was two people they're just chatting, that were working in there, and they were on about it, and they were going, "Oh, how McGregor was going to win,"
Yeah.
and they saw me laughing because I was just like, "You don't know, you absolutely don't know what you're watching." Because to me, it was just like, when you see him train, you're like, this is like you're doing something else. This isn't like you're boxing. It was like, and it showed on the night. It's, well, one guy is not just good, he's God gifted, and the other guy looks like you're in just a favourable position to be there because you've got no boxing expertise at all.
None. Apart from being the only advantage you had, I guess, was a little bit of size, but even that didn't work. He caught him with an uppercut,
and that's what And you talked about the fight, and you look at the card, and you talk about Billum Smith being low down, and this is what's happening. There's almost like this dilution of
actual
talent and good fights being put on. Because what's happening at the moment is that all the best fights will be on one card in Saudi Arabia most of the time.
Yeah.
So you got in 3 months, you got 3 months worth of weekends headliners on one card. There's nothing in between, and then you get some big fights then who are basically, wrestling where you've got, I know it's a bit harsh on Eubank and Benn, but that kind of spectacle where they're not fighting for a title, they're fighting for some kind of made up beef between them, really.